Hi, I'm Jatin Ondhia, CEO of Shojin Property Partners. I'm joined today by Joey Byrne from Pacaso. Now, Pacaso is a very exciting business. Joey, do you want to just maybe kick us off and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So Pacaso is the global leader in fractional ownership. We started about 4.5 years ago in the US, sort of on the back end of COVID, to really exist to solve a main problem. It's allowing more people to own second homes globally. Um, During COVID, if you remember, everybody wanted access to a second home. Main two reasons people don't is price and hassle of management. So Pacaso exists to alleviate both those concerns and make second home ownership easier for more people.
So this is pretty impressive, actually. So you're basically saying that people can own homes in what is it, some of the major cities, or
Yeah, currently we operate in 4 countries globally, and really focusing on 40 major markets. Some highlighted markets are London, where we're sitting today, Paris, places like Malibu, Aspen, Miami. We're in Cabo. Um, if you look at the website, you'll see we really have coverage all across the US, and really exciting for next year. We're looking to add more markets globally.
so this is really exciting. I've got a gazillion questions, but just to kind of, I guess, start off, you know, our investors at Shojin come to us because they're just looking to make a return on their capital, right? They're investing in real estate development in the UK. Your model, however, is slightly different because there's both a return element, which comes from the value of the asset, but then there's also the fact that they can use it themselves, right?
Exactly.
So what's the split of people? How many people are doing this just purely from a speculative kind of, let me invest and see how much my value goes up? How many people actually utilize it fully?
Yeah, I would say the majority of our owners are there to utilize it fully for them and for their families. Of course, there is a return aspect to it with regards to capital appreciation. One thing we obsess over is buying the right homes in the right micro locations at the right price. And many of our owners have enjoyed a great return upon resale or share. But if you look at a typical profile of our buyers, they're families. They're families that perhaps have dreamed of owning a second home for a long time. And when Pacaso launched, they said, wow, we can actually do this, ahead of our plans. And so that's why we exist. It's not an investment vehicle per se. Again, there is an element to that,
Yeah.
but it's really, if you look at the profile, it's families looking to make memories with their families, enjoy time away from home, and really have a second, third, or even fourth home,
Right.
in some really amazing destinations.
And most of your properties, they seem to be quite prime properties, which are probably a lot harder for individuals to afford anyway. But now I understand you guys also enable the investors or the buyers to leverage their share. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So if you think about it, Picasso, um, as a business, allows people to own 1/8 of the home, right? So effectively, they're already leveraging 87.5%, right? They only have to buy 1/8, 12.5%. In most of our markets, we can offer financing on the share price. So we can offer typically up to 60 or 70% loan to value on the share price. So then if you think about it, Picasso is a very, very powerful tool for people to own second homes out of, when we say a fraction of the price, we typically talk about 1/8. Or when we talk about financing, I mean, effectively it's for about 3 or 4% of the price.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
So to put that into real numbers, let's say it's an £8 million property. Someone's buying their share for 1 million. They get 70% finance on that. So they're really putting down £300,000
Correct.
for a share of this £8 million property.
Correct. And, one really powerful metric we like to compare is, say you're coming to a place like London, in hopes of owning a second home. Say you have a budget of £500,000. That's a lot of money. Unfortunately, in this market, in prime London, where we really focus, that doesn't really get you very far, which is crazy to say, but it's the truth.
I don't think it get you anything in central London.
Yeah, a prime parking spot, a studio. We love to work with agents, and one thing we offer a lot is we say, hey, if you have a client that's looking for pied-à-terre, show them, their buy box, and then show them a Pacaso. It's a high conversion strategy for us. If someone's touring a studio, maybe in a building with a short lease, or maybe it needs renovation, or potentially it needs all new furnishing and it's back of the building. That's not really exciting, and it's quite frustrating. You come to us and all of a sudden you're owning an eighth in a 3-bedroom duplex, maisonette, or penthouse in the middle of Mayfair. It's amazing what the power of Pacaso can do for people.
And they don't have to do a thing, right? They don't have to worry about maintenance, furnishings, anything.
They just show up. We offer owners lockers in all of our homes so people can leave their valuable items, their personal items. Some people will leave a dinner jacket, some people will leave photos, some people will leave their favorite bottle of whiskey. It really varies, but it adds that personal element. And I think, for buyers coming from abroad especially, it's quite jarring process. Maybe you're based in New York. All right, what does the process look like to buy a home in London? I mean, you're coming over here multiple times to tour. First you have to find an agent that you like. Then you have to understand what a leasehold is. What the difference is between that and a freehold. Then you're thinking, how do I insure this home? How do I set up utilities? Well, how do I structure it?
Yeah.
How do I get a loan? So we handle all of that. And by the time you show up, a few weeks after we close, once we get the home Pacaso ready, it's immaculate, it's turnkey. Everything is there from, obviously it's fully furnished. We have obviously all new linens, but we even go to the next detail with all the glassware, the cookware, getting the streaming services turned on. So everything is just turnkey.
So it is a home from home, really.
Exactly.
Way better than a hotel by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. We have a lot of conversions from previous owners of hotel, or previous owners that have stayed in hotels historically. Some of the top 5-star hotels, they're paying £1,000, £1,500 a night at places like the Connaught and Claridge's, and those are amazing places. But it's quite frustrating when you need 2 or 3 hotel rooms every night for your family, and then it kind of changes the dynamic of the trip, right? There's no common area to meet and just kind of hang out and enjoy each other's time. It's you're all in your separate rooms, and then obviously you also fortune.
And yeah, I mean, that's the most fun, right? When you're traveling with the family, a lot of the time you don't want to be out constantly. You just want to hang out in your own space.
Absolutely.
Right? So, no, that sounds brilliant. Let's look at this from a pure investment perspective as well. You mentioned, obviously people selling their shares. So talk to me about the liquidity. So someone buys, if they want to sell their share, how easy is it? And how do you price that at that point?
Sure. So I think the easiest way to look at it is just like a typical real estate transaction. So you're an owner of a share, or you're the owner of a home. What's the first step you would do? You'd meet with an agent, you'd set the price. And that's all depending on the market, right? Same process for us. What we do is when that process starts, every other owner in the home, after we've come up with a price together, we are the local experts. So we'll help guide pricing on that depending on where the market is, right? Just like a typical home. The first step that happens is that all the other owners get a 10-day right of first refusal. So they have an inside track to match the terms of the deal. We're seeing a lot of conversions in that period.
Right.
If you think about it, a year from now, and that is the period to which you have to hold the share before you can sell, right? Answer your question before. We don't want people coming in speculating on SFR pricing. That's not what we exist to do. And so in those 10 days, owners get access to the right of first refusal. 12 months, 18 months from initial purchase, some of the owners, the children have gotten older. Maybe they're in a different financial position. Maybe they're realizing 6 weeks in London is not enough. We want more time here. We want to stay a month at a time, etc. There's always different reasons, but we're seeing most of the transactions happening in that window.
Right.
A couple data points I can share in the last few resales we did in London. We've had a few resales at our first home in Mayfair, which is a penthouse on Queen Street. We've had a few resales in Chelsea, which is a townhouse we own on St. Luke Street. The average, here's the 2 stats. The average appreciation in share price from the time people bought to when they sold is 10%. Most of that's happening within 12 to 14 months. So pretty strong results. I'd say even the more impressive stat is that the time from initial listing, so you're calling me to sell your share, to the time we close, exchange of funds, it's about 12 days. So very, very liquid, very, very powerful. One of the reasons for that is that we don't turn off the marketing machine once the shares are sold out. We build wait lists. We're constantly fostering and nurturing prospective buyers. And we do that for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons especially is to create, and kind of push forward that liquidity aspect on the resale shares. It's one of the big parts of our business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can imagine. And 12 days, that's super fast. Do people come and look at these properties before investing or buying?
I would say 60-40, 60% come. And I'll caveat that with it's either themselves or a friend of theirs or a family member that might be living here or passing through.
Right.
Some people really trust our brand. Some people are existing owners in other markets, so they know we only buy the best of the best. They know what to expect. But again, we also, one way we leverage technology is, things like Matterports, things like virtual tours. So you feel, these days you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of tools that we can offer to buyers to get them comfortable, to get them familiar, to allow them to transact before they have to get here. Because what we're also seeing in Europe, especially, and all the folks on London and Paris, is that our shares are selling out very quickly.
Right.
In the matter of weeks, we're fully sold out on a home. So people also realize, unfortunately, if they have to wait 3 months, they may miss out on this home. Of course, we'll tour them later on. Maybe they'll be better positioned for a future home, but there's a bit of, urgency on that, given the kind of strong demand we're seeing.
Wow. Okay. And in that case, what is the typical demographic of the person that buys a share?
Yeah. Our typical buyer is an American family with adult children. That's a high net worth group of people. We're seeing most of our demand come from major cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, bit of Miami, bit of Chicago. The kind of exact profile that pops to my head is a family with 2 or 3 children, maybe soon to be empty nesters.
Right.
Maybe there's 1 or 2 kids in college, maybe 1 or 2 in high school, and they're kind of planning for the now, but also the future. And so Pacaso is a great way for people to make that first step without not making it too overwhelming of owning an entire home in a foreign country. It's much more manageable to own a share of something. And so we certainly see owners kind of matriculate from 1/8 share to a quarter share over their journey. Sometimes people use Pacaso for several years, then maybe go on to own their own home. We see, both kind of examples of that, but predominantly American families. Although what's really cool in the last, say, 2 or 3 quarters is that we're getting some kind of scattered demand from places like Southern Europe, places like the UK itself. We have some buyers from Singapore. We have some buyers from South America. So as our brand awareness and really our marketing capabilities are growing, it's very interesting to see demand coming from all parts of the world.
Yeah. And that's quite interesting actually, because at Shojin, our investor base covers most of the globe, but actually not much from the US for various reasons, including the tax laws and things like that here. But how does that work? How do you deal with the whole kind of taxation side of these things? When people sell, do you assist them on that process?
Yeah, we're there from start to finish. We handle everything. It starts way earlier in the process. The way we structure our purchasing is very advantageous to our buyers, right? That's why we do it. When it comes to yearly tax filing, when it comes to the exit on the resale, we're there to assist them. We have in-house tax experts. We also work with some of the biggest and brightest tax law firms globally.
Right.
So Pacaso is there every step of the way.
I'm really excited to be a part of this as well. We over time, like I said, our investors invest in property anyway. They're global. We have a huge presence in Southeast Asia as well. GCC and the surrounding areas are growing massively. I know currently you're not servicing those markets in terms of the properties, but I'd assume you'll start very rapidly getting investors in those places. For the very same reason, a lot of people from those places want to have a place in the UK. I mean, a simple one I would pick is India, right? Indians love the UK, right? So there's a historical connection. They love buying property in the UK, but not everyone can afford a, £10 million Mayfair townhouse or penthouse or anything.
Sure.
How are you progressing with those countries? Are you doing much there?
Yeah, it sounds like you've been attending some of our internal marketing strategy meetings recently, but starting in Q1, I'll definitely, personally be spending more time on the road, traveling, really targeting some of the markets that you've mentioned. And I think, while we are a prop tech company, at the end of the day, we're also selling luxury real estate. So there's a personal element to our business that we take very seriously. I typically meet all of our buyers in person before they close, if it's possible, with logistics and timing. But I think also what we've started to roll out, I was just in New York last week hosting a referral dinner. It's a great opportunity for existing owners, prospective buyers to get together, ask questions, and really just feel like they are part of a community, but also knowing that they have someone on the ground as a point person 24/7.
Yeah.
So we have, as I kind of mentioned previously, we have scattered demand in some of those other markets. And what we're planning to do in Q1 is really go deeper into those existing markets as it relates to feeder markets, is what we call them, right? Various places in India, places like Singapore, other places in the US. And so what we'll be doing is hosting more in-person events. Zooms are great, but personally, I would like a little bit more of a, personal touch in the process if I was a buyer. And I know many of our buyers feel the same.
Yeah.
So we'll be hosting dinners with existing owners, prospective buyers, top agents in the market. And there'll be more to come in the next few months.
Right.
But that's one way, aside from the typical marketing channels, that we're planning to roll out brand awareness and marketing in some new markets. It's quite exciting.
Right. So this sounds really, really exciting. So you're up for a good amount of growth. And I'm hoping, in some of these other markets, again, where a lot of our investor base is as well, there could be things we can do together out there, and hopefully introduce some of our investors into this. I love it. I love the sound of what you do. I'm tempted to get stuck in myself.
Where's yours going to be?
Do you know? I don't know. Somewhere hot. I don't know. You're going to have to advise me on that, but
Gladly.
heat is essential for me, which is another reason I was asking about Dubai earlier. Great place. In fact, we're about to open an office out there as well.
Exciting.
But it's definitely. I like your model, and I like the fact that we're not limited to one place. So ideally, over time, there'll be multiple places. But like you said, it's also as the kids get older, you can kind of leave them on their own and
yeah,
go travel.
I think Dubai is certainly on our radar at some stage. We always say it's no real kind of rocket science of where we'll continue to grow, right? You think about the top destinations globally. One thing that we just launched to kind of act as a catalyst to what you were kind of alluding to is that we just launched global swaps about a month ago. This has been 3 years in the making. Obviously, there's a lot of back-end work, logistic work, operations kind of required. But now owners globally in our portfolio can trade weeks with one another. So if you own 1/8 in London, and as you just said, right, it's cold here today, it's not going to be great for the next few months.
This is warmer.
And
it's good for London.
Frightening. And as you're saying, I want to go somewhere hot. Well, we've got homes in beautiful places like Malibu, Miami, Hawaii. So you can just go on your owner's app. You can see which weeks are available to swap. It's done in a few seconds.
And is it just a straight swap? Like you don't worry about the difference in values or anything?
There's a kind of back-end system which kind of puts you in the same category of your home.
Right.
The rule is that you're able to trade weeks with homes at a share price higher, $300,000 higher than your own.
Right.
It gets you access to most of the homes.
Okay.
We've had some really great swap stories already in the last month. We have owners that just started their first kind of month of ownership in Paris, and they've already enjoyed. They own 1/8 in Paris, and within a month they've already done. It was like 8 days in Paris, 8 days in Malibu, and they have a swap coming up for Christmas in Aspen.
Oh,
Thinking,
wow.
No invite from them yet, but I'm thinking that should be next level. Yeah, that's the next level of the company. Of course, we have folks that own, shares outright in multiple cities, and that serves many people well.
Right.
But if you can't do that, this is a great way to get access to the rest of the portfolio.
And you help them manage that? So like I said, if they've got multiple cities, but they can't be sitting there trading themselves all the time, can they just hand it off to you guys and say,
Yeah, we offer a white glove service when it comes to swaps, but also it's very simple. We have an owner's app. It's like kind of booking a hotel. You just pick the weeks you want. You look at the home you want to swap in. You can browse our inventory on the app. So we can be sitting in London and you could be looking at some of our homes in places like Malibu or Miami, and then you can decide which one you want. I mean, it's really, really simple.
fantastic? That's really good. Well, look, I'm really excited about this. Are there any final words you want to say to the audience? How do they get in touch? What do they do if they're interested?
Yeah, if you're interested to learn more about Pacaso, of course, you can always go onto Pacaso.com. It's a very interactive and easy website to use. I think you'll be sharing some of our contact details following this webinar. Feel free to reach out to me directly. Happy to have a chat, set up a tour, tell you more about Pacaso.
Brilliant. Joey, thank you so much. That was really interesting, and I can't wait to get my share. Yes, cheers. Appreciate it.